told you Malcolm at the Klan, cracking jokes, begging for some land. Most of you probably wouldn't understand. I read his book, it gave me discipline. I don't think that y'all be listening. What if I told you Garvey at the Klan? Got some money, help him run a scam. They gave a little bread to fan can. Tell you that you'll never be American. They say that you was born in a foreign land. Always be a boy here, not a man. Trying to be employed, protect the fam. Everybody thinking you the problem. An equation is measured by the outcome. Say the conversations, we ain't got none. Say the conversations, we ain't got none. What if I told you? Would it make it clear? More than a dream, we made it there. They want to raise your children so they being fair.
Hey, Jimmy.
You help them get seats and now on offer chairs. Used to be them sheets and now it's officers. Either be in prison or the coroners. My little cousin bleeding on the corner. Shit, they ain't gonna believe it, they don't want it. Just the rose that was left on the concrete. Could've chose in the side street. Probably wasn't close since 9-3. Blaming coke in the pills, thinking Cosby. Everybody thinking you the problem. An equation, it's measured by the outcome. You can say the conversations, we ain't got none. Say the conversations, we ain't got none. What if I told you you should be a man? Raise your children, would you take a stand? A king, would you build your castle out of sand? The plan to be to fail if you fail to plan. Ain't nobody ever gonna give a damn.
Hey, Jimmy.
Give them heaven back and take your land. Never get what they can bury in a mausoleum. They be lying on them Christians like a Coliseum. Everybody thinking we the problem. The equation get measured by the outcome. Say the conversation, we ain't got none. Say the conversation, we ain't got none. Everybody thinking we the problem. Say the conversation, we ain't got none. Equations get measured by the outcome. Everybody thinking we the problem.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Jabe.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Melanated. So tonight, as it is the first night of Black History Month, we are going to talk about. That's where you're supposed to cue in.
Yes, I know. I was taking that deep breath. The ladies of the Black nationalist movement. We don't often talk about women, and when we do talk about women in Black history, most of them are coming from a specific social class. Right, so we usually talk about upper middle class Black people and upper middle class Black people who got together in the civil rights movement and did many things, many monumental things that helped us do many things that we do today.
Yes.
But we do not often talk about the women of the Black nationalist movement outside of the Black Panther Party. So today we are going to talk about a woman who was a member of the UNIA, who may have been able to legitimize some of Marcus Garvey's schemes. Her name is Princess Laura Adakor Kofi. So, without further ado, we have a lecture from Keisha Blaine, and she's going to begin to talk about some of these women who are on fire. So with this is our women that moved the movement.
Let's get it going. Oh, and before we start, thank you, CMU, for letting us use this footage for Black History Month. Everybody go like, share, and subscribe.
Fair use. Fair use.
We want her back from the University, New York University, where she is on leave. I know she didn't want to write the bar, so not on leave. Under a Ford Foundation postdoctoral research fellowship. And I also learned that she turned down a fellowship at Harvard University. And she went to New York. So we have to ask her what's her secret. Okay. But she's getting extraordinary, what it means is that she's getting extraordinary responses to her work, and that people are excited about the kind of scholar that she is. She received her MA and PhD degrees from Princeton University, where she worked with Terrell Hunter. Some of you may know that Terrell Hunter was a colleague of ours here at Carnegie Mellon University in the Department of History for several years. And so it's good to really connect with someone who has developed a career of her own in the field of African American history that's really pushing forward the kind of pioneering work that Terrell is known for. But she's an extraordinarily accomplished scholar in her own right. She is now president of the African American Intellectual Society. She is the co-editor of a new book series on Black internationalism at the University of Illinois Press. And she is also, I want to state that the University of Illinois Press selected well when they selected her as a co-editor of that series. Because as you're going to see from this talk today, no doubt, she has substantial depth in questions of Black internationalism. But that's not all. She is a member of a variety of editorial boards, major editorial boards. The Journal of Women's History, the Journal of Civil and Human Rights, and the Journal of African American History. And so that's sort of the service side in some ways. Scholarly service, but service nonetheless. Labor of love, so to speak. But she writes and researches and is involved in producing groundbreaking work.
If you want to check the
book
private
that
chat.
she'll talk about today is titled "To Set the
Say jump forward about 10 minutes. Okay.
It centers on the ideas and the activism of women such as Amy
Jack Garvey and Amy Ashwood Garvey, and lesser-known activists such as Mittie Maudlina Gordon, Ethel Waddell, Alberta Spain, and Celia Jane Allen. These women, representing a subordinate group within global racial and gender hierarchies, advocated revolutionary social changes and demanded equal recognition and participation in global civic society. During the 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s, they became central leaders in a variety of Black nationalist movements, promoting immigration, racial unity, political self-determination, and economic self-sufficiency. They sought to build transnational and
I made a mistake.
transracial alliances.
This is
with
actually
people
the
of
video
color
for
across the
tomorrow.
globe to advance.
So we're gonna stop here, and
Yo,
then we're gonna
boy.
go to the video for today.
Silly.
It's been a long 2 days, y'all. Excuse me. It's been a long beginning of the week.
Oh, so I done made the wrong title and everything. So you might
No. That's the right title. Right
Okay.
title.
Hey,
wrong
Claire.
video.
Leonard.
Right title, wrong video. So this video, I'm sorry, this video is actually Nana Afia Kofi, who is I don't know what her, whatever, but she is the resurrection, or the self-proclaimed resurrection of Princess Kofi, but she has a lot of information about what her organization was. So we're going to jump to about a half hour. We're about to jump to about 30 minutes, and she's going to begin to talk about Kofi. And this is interesting, y'all. So listen close. I know, Jimmy, man. I'm bugging. I'm bugging. Just excuse me. I told you what's going on, man. I told you earlier. I told you what's going on. So I'm bugging. Excuse me.
I just wanted to say I was Joan of Arc in a former life. You ready?
Get ready. Get ready. Oh. And for this one, listen close, y'all. This is going to be interesting.
Heart attack. So I called Mr. Mosley and I called him. I was like, what are you doing?
Oh, that sounds juicy. Let me pull back a little bit more.
Yes, so we walk in here and I just feel the spirit all in this place. And literally I saw the image of Mother in that door. I had not even seen a picture of her at this time. Was still on the journey of information about the church and everything. I really hadn't seen a full picture of her whole body. So, but in the door was just like this gray hologram with this like plain white dress. It was really old fashioned, and it was like, wow. And we walked in, and the place was a total mess. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. How much you want? And I was trying to just hurry up and get out of here. And unfortunately, someone else stepped in, a white realtor company.
Those pillows are fire, by the way.
And they stepped in, and then they started overbidding me, which I didn't know. And then next thing I know, I was riding by here, and people were fixing the place, and they were taking down some of the original things, which I didn't want to do, which is why the home is a little old. Like I don't want to do too much repairing because I want to restore it to that age, that 1920s. Even the owner, me and him fought over changing the single pane windows to these double panes. I hated it. I wanted the old windows, even though my energy bill was high. I wanted to preserve as much as possible. And so I saw them fixing the place, and I was like, what's going on? So I had a heart attack. So I called Mr. Mosley, and I called him. I was like, what did you do that? Why did you let the people? I just went off on this one. I was crying and screaming on the phone. And I was like, that's Mother's house. That's Mother Kofi's house. How could you sell it to those white people? I was just like, he was like, you know about Mother Kofi? What do you know about that? How do you know about that? No one said anything about that since I was a teenager. No one cares about that stuff anymore. How do you know about that? I said, I'm doing research on it. He said, well, why didn't you tell me? I would have gave you the house. I didn't want the house. My son didn't even want the house. I was like, well, why were you selling it? If you know the history of it, I didn't think that you would be selling it. So I didn't want to tell you the history of it so that you can hike the price up. Like, I mean, what do you mean you would have gave me the house? I'm on the phone crying. He's crying. I'm sorry. He said, I'll tell you anything you want to know. So he left his work and we went to lunch. And he began to tell me the story of him being a little boy and how he remembered Mother holding him and nursing him. He was about 5 when she was assassinated. And he says he remembered her very vividly and how everybody would come around. And so this home was where they had their meetings. The president, they had the first phone in this hallway. And people from the block would come and use the phone. This first room here was the office. My bedroom was.
Jay, did you got a question in the chat?
I don't know if this is Marcus Garvey's house. I didn't pick up whether that was actually Marcus Garvey's house, but it's possible.
The lady that she's talking about, Princess Kofi, she was a part of the movement, but how was she connected directly to Garvey?
Oh, okay. Well, this is what I can do. What I can do is I can begin with a little rundown on who Princess Laura is. That would be important, right? So
yeah.
So I'm all thrown off now because I don't know what I was thinking. So this is what we'll do. this is what will give me a moment. And okay, so bear with me. Uh, and this isn't. Although Kofi's name was well known in the early half of the 20th century, her history today seems to have faded from Jacksonville history books. According to the Missionary African Universal Church, she didn't understand why God chose her to come to the United States. There were plenty of people in Africa who could speak English, and she questioned why God was asking her to make such a journey across the world. She said that she had a revelation to liberate African American people, to take them on a right course back to the promised land, Africa, and to create an independent community, a cultural independent community, wrote Vilbert White in the book Africa in Florida, 500 Years of African Presence in the Sunshine State. So, after many dreams and visions, she finally accepted her call and came to the United States. She originally immigrated to the United States and landed in Detroit around 1918, where she worked as Marcus Garvey's and she worked in the UNIA, Marcus Garvey's Black Nationalist Movement. At some point, where did I lose myself? At some point, she was sent to minister back across the South, eventually moving to Miami. It's just an unusual story to hear about somebody. First, she was African by birth. She came over here. She was part of Marcus Garvey's movement, said Joel McEachin, senior historic preservation planner with the city. Not many people in Jacksonville were a part of that movement. A movement focused on celebrating racial pride. Within this within this movement, he had a shipping line and a black newspaper called the Negro World that circulated thousands of copies weekly. Kofi met the church congregations and preached to the blacks that they should embrace their African culture. Her fame grew, and she began attracting a huge crowd who came to hear her impassioned speeches. Her following began excuse me, her followers my eyes are really bad right now, and I have to get reading glasses, so excuse me as my eyes dart across the screen. um, her followers began calling her Mother Kofi. She toured across the South throughout the 1920s. Spread But as her influence spread, she separated from Garvey's organization, and he began attacking her, encouraging her followers to leave her. Kofi eventually relocated to Jacksonville from Miami, where she felt threatened. For many African Americans,
Whoa,
it
whoa,
was
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa, hold on, wait a minute, wait a minute. So she decided she no longer wanted to be a part of his movement, and
Mhm.
instead of just letting her go, he basically started harassing her.
He started doing what they do today. He started harassing her. He started sending goons, all that kind of stuff. But it gets worse. It gets deeper. So we're gonna keep on going. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, where was I? But as her influence spread, she separated from Garvey's organization and he began attacking her, encouraging her followers to leave her. Kofi eventually relocated. Excuse me, my son's using the bathroom. Make sure you wash your hands, son. Kofi eventually relocated to Jacksonville from Miami, where she felt threatened. For many African Americans, it was their first time listening to someone from Africa, White wrote. She spoke about the greatness of Africa. She spoke about the movement from Africa to liberate the people here, and that there was a divine relationship between the Africans, the East Blacks, and the Western Blacks. The African Americans, she spoke of with pride and strength. Her popularity grew so quickly that she established her own organization in 1927 called the African Universal Church. The church focused on creating economic self-sufficiency and education for blacks. Kofi's story quickly came to an end in 1928 when she was speaking at the Liberty Hall in Miami. A follower of the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association is rumored to have shot her in the head. It is believed that the witness it is believed that witnesses of the event beat him to death shortly after.
In my NK Space Force. Goddamn.
The love for Kofi was strong. It took them over a month to bury her, wrote White. When they left Miami, they had a funeral in West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach. They had a funeral in St. Augustine. They had a funeral in Daytona Beach, and so on, until she ultimately got to Jacksonville to bury her. According to the Florida Times Union, thousands of people showed up to her body, showed up as her body was brought back to Jacksonville. It is said that so many people showed up to see that 25 cents were being charged to view her body. Her body stayed in a funeral home for several months, according to Micichan. They thought her father was going to come to America to see her, but he could never make the arrangements, Micichan said. She would later be buried in the mausoleum in the old city cemetery. It is the only mausoleum in the cemetery, and it sits close to the back of the cemetery near Jesse Street. No one, no one knows who paid for it or built it, Micichan said. It might have. I just lost my whole place. Excuse me. And if anybody's my Facebook friend, they could see this on Facebook.
Did you share it
uh,
in there?
yes, I did. No one would have paid. No one knows who paid for it or built it. Micichan said it might have been one of her followers or members. Today, other than the mausoleum, there is little left of Kofi in Jacksonville. So that's basically the story of Princess
Okay,
Laura
hold on a second.
Adakor Kofi.
Okay.
So
And
just to add a little bit of context,
yeah.
right?
And this lady.
So after Garvey met with the Klan and they hatched out their this whole thing for Garvey to the Klan to spike up their activity, then Garvey to come down to rescue them, right? Garvey didn't go down there like that. He sent Princess Laura.
Mhm.
And as Princess Laura moved through the South, she gained a lot of popularity. Now, at the same time, the the person we're going to speak about tomorrow was doing something similar. But this this woman says that she's the resurrection of of Princess Laura Adakor, right? So she's
That
going
is
to talk about how she met with the family with Princess Laura's descendants, and they actually bestowed that title upon her. And she's going to speak about some other things, and she's going to reiterate some things I spoke about, and speak about some other aspects that are going to make Leonard say "Holy shit" again. So let's continue.
okay.
This is Sam, who was the husband and wife.
Uh-oh, she went mute. I think it went
Here,
mute.
and it
There we
would go
go.
outside because they would cook outside because there's a back door outside, and this was a bedroom, so they switched that around. But this is the home. So he came for a few of our Juneteenth celebrations and a few of our events and told the story. We got him on some tapes or some videos around here.
Hey, Niqua.
About this was about 15 years ago, and
Hey, Nick, what
as
up?
the story continues, as he continued to share, and I continued to do my research and just find all kind of documents. And before I knew it, people were bringing things, leaving them on the front porch. I'd come home and there'd be stacks of books and paperwork on Mother Kofi because people in the neighborhood knew that I was doing research on her life. And, they would have elders that would pass, or, they would go looking through drawers or closets and find stuff, and they would bring it to me. And then I would see people and they would tell me stories of her life and her death. And so, interestingly enough, when she was assassinated in Miami, speaking in the pulpit in March 8th, 1926,
She
she
misspoke. It was
was
28.
speaking, and there was a hole in the wall where they stuck a gun through that hole from outside, and they shot her. And the mob that was there beat to death one of the guys. One guy got away, one guy was arrested. Those that was arrested and the guy that got away, it said that he fled into the prominent white neighborhood of Miami. Um, um, I have the names. I won't throw no last names out there. We don't want to hurt nobody, but there were names. I have documents upon documents of names of the people who were involved in her assassination, the trial. They got off for the murder. Um, Marcus Garvey, around the same time, was being deported for mail fraud, and her life was being threatened by UNIA. The people who were arrested were UNIA. This is one of the first rifts in a black movement caused by either, at the time, the FBI. This was one of the first FBI projects that worked within the dynamics of creating division in the black community, is between Mother Kofi and Marcus Garvey and the Back to Africa movement. So she was being threatened by UNIA, and she went to Garvey in prison, talked to him, asked him to help her with what was going on. And at the time, he didn't have any power. They were just doing whatever they wanted to do at that point. He was locked up in Atlanta. And so she spoke. That was her last time she spoke for the UNIA. Gathered thousands. I think they said over 2,000 additional members at that meeting that she spoke at in Atlanta on behalf of the UNIA. Even though she was no longer a member and her and Garvey had their differences, she still supported this movement, which is repatriation. And so I'm honored to be here because it's a long time coming. When I first did this.
Let me pause this for a minute and say something before we have any misunderstandings. Okay, some kind of way I done did live twice on my channel, so it's 2 running and then 1 running on Jada's. So if you don't see somebody, they in the other chat. Let's keep it moving.
One more thing. And if you want a wrench, jump in my chat so I can give you a wrench.
I reached out to the UNIA at UCLA, different places around the country.
Oh, Lord.
I literally had to get in the plane and get in my car and go and talk to people in nursing homes and, get the story from people who lived during that time. And then from there, I got a lot of information from the black newspapers, because during that time, the white newspapers did not cover stories that were happening in the black community. And this was a black community event, and so it was covered by us. Unfortunately, I kind of wish it was covered by them, because had it been covered by them.
So if you missed that, right, what she's explaining is something that's very important about this stuff, because I keep hitting brick walls of a lot of stuff too. We had our own stuff back then, right? We always talk about having our own, right? So the Nation of Islam had a newspaper, the UNIA had a newspaper, the Moorish Science Temple had a newspaper at a period of time. So there was all of these
It was all black
repositories of history.
everything down in Florida, from what I heard at one period of time.
Say that again.
It was all black everything. Get from under the
Yeah.
bed.
It was all black everything. A lot. You had a Defender. You had well, the Defender is still going on, but you had a lot of black papers, right? That were repositories of black history, right? Some of them are gone. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
Negro World is still available. You can go. You can get back issues of the Negro World for free. If you want to verify anything that, like, if you want to really verify the stuff that Marcus Garvey was saying to people back in the day, that's all available. But
Okay,
you know,
so
some of these stuff is not there. So I didn't start digging into trying to find that. I didn't really. There was a lot of stuff going on. So you know, maybe it's another time we can revisit, and then we could see if we could find, and I see if I could find some of the things that he was actually saying about Princess Laura. But you know.
okay, so let me get this straight. Hold
Mhm.
on, let me mute you for a second. There's some little echo in the back. So Princess Laura hooked up with Marcus Garvey. She part of the movement. She believed pretty much what Garvey believed, and she is his southern arm of the contingency that he went to sit down there to gather members. But I'm gathering that she got a little bit too big and they assassinated her, right?
That is true, and that's not the only person that got assassinated. But we can get into that. But
Yeah,
yes,
not
that's
tonight.
true. Yes, but that is true. Pretty much, she got down south. She
So
got big because
yeah,
remember, Marcus Garvey didn't know anything about Africa. So as he's pushing this Back to Africa movement, he's basically doing it at the behest of the white supremacist people that he's dealing with. So they're writing about Africa, you know, in these romantic, you know, in this romantic way. And in Marcus Garvey's mind, he just thinks that he can get to Africa and take over everything. Clout, clout, clout.
Yeah.
So, you know, basically,
Don't none of y'all
Marcus
want no
Garvey was using Princess Laura. And then when he was done using Princess Laura, Marcus Garvey got rid of her. Sound
The Klan was
familiar, folks?
also sending all the black folk back to Africa, Yemi.
Yeah, I mean, he met the Klan essentially because there was a UNIA office that was set up in Florida before this meeting. The Klan raided it, and one of his officers like ran away. Marcus Garvey realized that there was going to be that he was going to have an issue, and he would have to sit down with the Klan because, as historians point out, he believed that the Klan was the invisible arm of the United States. Nothing, wasn't really true like that, but they did pretty much run the government. And then with the whole thing, this is the period of time when Birth of a Nation comes out as one of the first motion pictures, and the president plays Birth of a Nation on the lawn. You understand what I'm saying? So for black people at that time, it's very difficult to differentiate between what was going on in the South and brought up throughout the country with Jim Crows and so on and so forth. So Marcus Garvey goes down, he sits down and meets with Edward Young Clark, who is the grand wizard of the Klan at the time. He's also one of the first people to be arrested on the Mann Act. But anyway, they hashed out a plan because basically the Klan and various white supremacist organizations like the Anglo-Saxon Club and the White Society or something or other, they didn't like the integrationalist movement, right? There was something that they both had in common. So you had people like W.B. Du Bois and A. Philip Randolph, and before him there was but you had a lot of people in that movement, an integrationist movement, who were mixed. Cyril Briggs, who were mixed, and the Klan didn't like mixed people because remember, mixed people meant chaos in the Southern slave system. Because if you came from a white woman, you were free. They didn't want to have any black people who were free because then they could operate like white people, and that was a problem. They didn't want that to happen, right?
Mm.
You had to create a narrative that black people could not function without slavery. So if you have black people who are functioning, that's problematic to that narrative. So integrationists represented that on a larger scale to the white supremacists. Adversely, uh, the other black nationalists of the time, right? Because there was a separation between integrationists and black nationalism, right? Uh,
Yep.
the black nationalists of the time, like Reverend Crumble and so on and so forth, what they looked at was a class structure being built by mulatto people and mixed people being on the top, and then the darker skinned people being on the bottom. Now that's almost some of the beginning of our modern trappings with this pigmentocracy, or this color struck mentality that a lot of us have, is this battle between this hierarchy that was supposed to be created, this talented tenth and all this nonsense, right?
Mm-hmm.
um Now, because of that, we get this, we get another arm of black people saying that, well, at least the Klan is saying this. You understand what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
very problematic, right? So there's mistakes on both sides. So this is not an attack on black nationalism, but we want to look at things as we go through Black History Month. Let's look at history in with a microscope. Let's be fair. Let's be objective. Let's see what's right, what's wrong, so we can move forward in a way that's better. But anyway, when he sends Madam, he sends Princess Laura down, down, and she gets in these southern states, and these people have never really encountered someone from Africa,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is a new thing to them, right? So a lot of so as she starts speaking about what it's like in Africa, it excites the imagination of black people. So it becomes something that's
Watch the
real.
language. That's words gonna get they
Did
gonna
I
get
say something?
blocked.
My bad. My bad. My
Oh,
bad.
not you, Jay. I was talking to the chat.
Oh, my mind blanks. I cuss. I don't mean it.
No, not you.
Jimmy will tell you, they always tell me don't cuss. But
Hold on one
anyway,
second. Hold on one
um,
second.
yeah.
It was giving an echo. It
Okay.
still is a little bit.
Yeah,
So
I think you can
continue.
find Birth of a Nation on the archive, archive.org. But I had to watch that, like my first day in college. I had to watch Birth of a Nation. It was very jarring.
You can find Birth of the Nation on Internet Archive and
Might be on YouTube.
Yeah, I was finna say, if it ain't on YouTube, it's on Vimeo though. Not Vimeo. What's the other one? Yeah, it is Vimeo.
Something motion. I
Hey,
can't remember.
Daily Motion.
Daily
Hey,
Motion.
people. Oh Lord. Okay, so continue on with the video.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
I would have been able to have much more information. But because it was covered by us only, um, our people have refused to give the information. There's several black newspapers that I contacted that had files 20 years ago that they refused to allow me to read, that they did not want to, because of legalities, they did not want to put the UNIA under the bus. They did not want to rehash old stuff. They felt like it should stay in the closet. They did not want this lady's story to be told because it sheds a really bad light on certain weaknesses that we have in our community as a people. It deals with the male and female thing. There was an issue with the fact that she was a woman and she was used to speaking her mind. And here in the U.S. at that time, women were not even allowed to come forward and speak those type of things. That was one of the issues. And then, of course, the fact that, her father was the king and there was that sense of royalty. Here in the U.S., there's just like this thing. We don't really get royalty. It's like we don't really deal with titles and all of that. It's just everybody's equal type of thing. That was part of it. And then the fact that the money issue, spending all the money for an image is okay, because I honestly believe that we as a people needed a certain lifting, and I thank Baba Marcus Garvey for what he did in lifting our image and showing us that greatness, that grandeur, that just it's needed. But at what point, at what level? So there was a level where mother felt like it was too much, like the money's being spent really should have been going to save, to go to develop where we were planning to go, or to build business and commerce. And the commerce she had set up, in regards to the ship coming here, in regards to the agriculture, in regards to diamonds, in regards to gold. She had a lot of commerce already set up and ready for us to be able to work and do that. Her father had the ships, but Garvey said no, he had someone that had the ships. He didn't want the king to bring the ships. He wanted to provide the ships. So he didn't allow but that first ship, and then it wasn't allowed to dock. So then the king didn't send any more, and then we all know what happened to the Black Star Line. I have some certificates, and I need to get them out, but they're certificates of the people who paid to register for a seat on the Black Star Line, where they were paying, $800 US in that time. That's a lot of money. That's like $100,000 right now. I mean, they were paying a lot of money for a seat, and that's per person, not per family. And so the $800 per person to be on this Starliner for that kind of money, this is what mother was questioning, the books and the that type of thing. And Sister Tiffany can identify with that, because her family is into taxes and things like that. And sometimes as people, we don't want to deal with those papers. We don't want to deal with questions of how much money are we spending and why we're spending it on this and it should be spent on that. We don't want anyone questioning us about our money. But to be successful, you have to have someone that's doing the check and balancing when it comes to finance. Because if not, look what happened financially with the UNIA. So I began to work also with those in Dabula Drive here in Jacksonville. Big up to the family, Satatu and the Keys, and the family of Nimbolo, who was the pastor that came from South Africa to take over the church once mother was assassinated. So after her assassination, her children, her followers, they came together and they started this church, and continued the church, I should say. And they have some land here in Jacksonville, Adokoville, which at one point had over 50 homes, and a thriving community, and taught Bantu, one of the African languages, taught Kiswahili, had a church, had their own economy, their own infrastructure, and also had built another community in Alabama as a sister community. And they grew up, families grew up together for generations like that. Until Nimbolo passed, and he was buried in Alabama to connect the families. And the land is still here in Jacksonville. We did a tour there a couple of years ago, back in 2012, during the Bringing in the Spring community celebration that we had here in Jacksonville. And we did a nice tour on that land and talked about the story of Mother Kofi in Adokoville. Thank you to the Nuwabians that came out from Atlanta. Thank you for all those that participated in the Bringing in the Spring event. We'll have to do it again. We got the Black Love Tour.
Hold up, Trip.
Where we've
Did y'all hear that?
The trip out to Fernandina.
Did you hear it?
What'd she say?
She said, shout out to Nuwapians.
Hold on, let me pull it back. They everywhere, yo. Crystal. Oh my God. The people dog across the street, I figured it out when I left the house tonight. The dog jumped the fence, right? So he make it his business to come pee on my mailbox. And apparently taunt Crystal while she at the window.
Oh, they having beef.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, I feel your pain, Crystal. My neighbors be fucking with me too.
Let's keep it going.
To take over the church once mother was assassinated. So after her assassination, her children, her followers, they came together and they started this church and continued the church, I should say. And they have some land here in Jacksonville, Adocoville, which at one point had over 50 homes and a thriving community, and taught Bantu, one of the African languages, to taught Kiswahili, had a church, had their own economy, their own infrastructure, and also had built another community in Alabama as a sister community. And they grew up, families grew up together for generations like that. Until Nimbolo passed, and he was buried in Alabama to connect the families. And the land is still here in Jacksonville. We did a tour there a couple of years ago, back in 2012, during the Bringing in the Spring community celebration that we had here in Jacksonville, and we did a nice tour on that land and talked about the story of Mother Kofi in Adocoville. Thank you to the Nuwabians that came out from Atlanta. Thank you for all those that participated in the Bringing in the Spring event. We'll have to do it again. We got the Black Love Tours, where we've incorporated the trip out to Fernandina.
I want to be on no Black Love tour Nuwapian. Just
part.
want to throw that out there.
That's called that starvation joint. No.
Hide your kids. Hide your food.
Oh, but wait, we're supposed to be hoarding snacks. We can't hide the food.
But hide the food from the Nuwapians. They can get the lentils.
Oh my goodness. My eyes.
Lentils and pickles for Nuwapians. Lentils and pickles. That's it.
Lentils and pickles. But I mean, it's not surprising, but it's like Garvey was literally one of the first successful homosexuals.
He was the proto homosexual.
Yeah, he was the prototype to the homosexual and the hotep. Auto hoteps unite. Was Garvey married?
Garvey was married to one Amy. I can't remember her first name. And then he married her best friend Amy.
Lord Jesus. Yeah, that is classic homosexual behavior. Mm-hmm. So he basically had Princess, what's the name, set up like Malcolm.
Like Malcolm and like many others.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Some people do anything for clout.
What people do for money.
That part. Oh, goodness. Whoa. All through time. Hey, Shell. All through time, we got the time haters. Oh. I cannot. Let's continue. Oh, come on. Why are you being silly?
Fernandina Beach, which is also connected to Mother Kofi. Everything begins with Mama, let me tell you. So, how does it begin with Mama? We all have heard, if you're in Florida, you know A.L. Lewis. You know Abraham Lincoln Lewis. He's the first black millionaire for the state of Florida. And he started the Afro Insurance Company here in Jacksonville, Florida. And he used like a 401k type of program from that company, the pension and things, to purchase American Beach, or Black American Beach, which was the first beach that blacks were allowed to swim on, and it is in Fernandina Beach. And to this day, there's still a strip of that land that's owned by blacks, right in the middle of all these big $1 million homes and sky rises on Amelia Island. So, so that was purchased. That's where Ella Fitzgerald and Fats Domino and Billie Holiday, they would all come and they would sing. And there's a nightclub there that's being renovated and being built into a museum right now, and that they're trying to renovate there at American Beach. And so we have our Black Love tours where we go there and we enjoy Bernie Park. And that's one beach. It's a beautiful experience. We camp out there. I want to give respect to Mama Beach, Mayving Beach, the beach lady. May you rest in peace, Mother, who championed that beach. She was the great-granddaughter of Abraham Lincoln Lewis, and her sister is the great Janetta Cole, who was the president of Spelman College. And so this story is really deep. It goes deep, where people don't know who's who. But Jaqueen, I've done my research. So I sat at the foot of Mama Mayveen Beach, and listen to the stories of her growing up as a kid, running around all of these great African entertainers and millionaires of their time, going to school in Europe and traveling the world, and being the granddaughter of a millionaire in the 20s and 30s, 40s. It's really, really something. So that is an interesting part of this story. So if we come out for the Black Love tours, we'll show you the home here. We'll go to Abraham Lincoln Lewis's mausoleum. We'll go to Mother Kofi's mausoleum, and we'll go out to Black American Beach and show you the love out there. Maybe hit up a little bit of the Kingsley Plantation, which that isn't quite directly linked, but it's indirectly linked because, of course, Abraham Lincoln Lewis married one of the Kingsley daughters, and that connects the story even further into African American history here in the Northeast Florida area. So it's kind of like a synopsis of the. I know there's more questions, so I just wanted to give like an overview, because my guests here, if we would have just answered, if we would have did question answer, they would have been lost because they knew nothing about any of this, and so I had to bring them. So now that we've given an overview, it's all you. We can go to your questions, and then I can give you documents to back up anything that I've said, and we can go from there. Is that cool?
Yeah, most definitely.
But for now, I guess we can get some reactions from my guests.
And I'm sorry to intrigue me into kind of earlier, but I wanted to also know, do you feel like she is leading your path? Like, do you believe that there's some type of connection between the two of you?
I didn't at first, but over the years, I have come to the realization that I truly could be her reincarnation.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, whether she was an ancestor.
Okay, this is the part where we go off to the barrel. You ready?
Ancestor,
Yeah.
but I'm the reincarnation, to the point to where her family felt it so much that they gave me her name.
Right.
They crowned me with her name. Yeah.
And then next thing is, how did you meet her family? Like, how did all of that come about?
That's a good one. Okay. So doing my own history, as far as being the third great granddaughter of Nat Turner. Nat Turner's mother was a Ghanaian princess, and so his mother was a Ghanaian princess that.
All right, y'all heard that. So she's a descendant
European wealthy
of
man
Nat
that had
Turner.
came to Ghana. and she was given to him as a gift, as a
descendant.
bride, because he was a really nice man, and he done a lot of great things for that tribe. He built things for them. He, and blessed the people. And because he blessed them so well, the chief wanted him to have his daughter as a wife. So they married in Africa and everything, and they came here. So when Nat Turner was born, this is the whole story about him not really being made to be a slave, and the special treatment and things like that. They never really get into why he had that special treatment, except for the fact that his mother was married to the white father, but they didn't really get deeper into it in the movie. But she was actually an African princess. And so being that my family history, I knew that I had some bloodline in Ghana. So I decided that for my 40th birthday, or before I turned 40, I would go to Ghana, and I would do this research. So I went to Ghana about 8 years ago, and I did some research. I started with the fact that all the documents say she was from Asofa. So I started there. So I started asking, where is this town, Asofa? No one knew where it was, because it kind of doesn't exist. It does, but it doesn't. It's like, at one point it was its own town, but the city has grown. Right. So Accra has overtaken this Asofa. So I should have known, though, because the documents say Asofa, a small town outside of Accra. But now it's part of Accra. So if you go looking for Asofa, no one knows where you're talking about. You have to say Accra, and then you have to say, some other things. I say, oh, no, so it's like a small community now inside a big city. And if you don't know, if you're not from that area, you wouldn't know that small city, that little small town name, So I was in Kumasi doing some work, and this is a long story. I'm going to try to shorten it as much as I can. I was in Kumasi, and they were having was it the 15th year or the 20th year anniversary of Osei Tutu II Atumfo, the king. And I wanted to go badly, and they had the event at the stadium. And my friends were like, you can't go, it's it's VIP only type thing, and blah blah blah. And I was like, you don't know I'm VIP, you don't know who I am, okay, we're gonna show you this thing. So they thought I was crazy, but make a long story short, I get dressed, I go to the stadium, and all my friends are like, you're crazy, you're not gonna get in. And they're standing like in the back, and all these soldiers, they walk up, it's like, oh, are you here? So yes, I'm here to be a part of this event. I don't even remember what I said. And the man looked at me, he was like, where you from? I was like, I'm from the U.S. He was like, oh, okay. So he let me in. So I get in, and I'm inside the stadium, and my friends are looking like, what's up? I was like, oh yeah, they with me. Can they get in too? And they was like, you can pick two. I was like, okay, dang, I got to pick two of y'all. I will do that. So I had to pick two, and then the other ones had to go up in the way in the nosebleed section type thing. So now we're down on the ground floor of the stadium, and this is the huge event, which I'll show you all pictures of the coronation of the Ashanti King. Beautiful. I have never seen anything like it in my life. Never seen anything like it in my life. The regalia, the clothes, the armor, and the guns, and and the dancers, and the medicine people. Everything. I mean, it was just, I had never seen anything like it. It was so amazing. So we're down on the ground floor, and I'm walking around, and I'm checking out everything. And interestingly enough, I had gone to the King's Palace just to show some respects, to go and went to the museum, and they had some fabric that they were selling. And I was trying to pick out the fabric that I wanted to make my outfit for the event. And I was leaning toward this one piece of fabric, and the lady came and she walked by, and she picked up a different piece of fabric, and she said, buy that one. And I said, okay, I'm buying what she said buy. So I made my dress in that cloth, and wouldn't you know, I get there, and all the women who are the helpers is wearing that fabric. So everyone thinks I'm with the people who put the whole thing on. Yeah. So they're coming up to me, asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't even speak Tweet. Yeah. I'm I'm like, OMG. So, but I was able to serve because I saw there were some kings that were hot, some chiefs. I shouldn't call them kings, excuse me, Jose. Some chiefs who were hot. So I was bringing water and running around, doing all this stuff. And I was taking pictures with all the kings and all the chiefs and all the queen mothers and just having a ball. And so my friends was like, they couldn't believe it. They was like, this is amazing. We don't know how you did that. So I did it. And so make a long story short, there was this one chief. He just was just black and beautiful. Nana Osebana. I love you, brother. He was just so regal and just black and beautiful. I just had to have a picture with him. And I hadn't seen him previously. He was leaving out. So I was walking up. I was like, excuse me, can I have a picture with you? And he said, why should I? I said, because you don't know who I am. And he looked. I said, if you don't give me the picture, you're going to regret it. And he laughed. He said, okay, I like your style. So he took a picture with me, and then some other people came and took a picture. And he felt there was something. So I looked at him. I was like, so are you a chief here? Or, we talked a little bit. And he was like, no, I live in Accra, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Accra. I said, I'm looking for a place called Asofa. It's supposed to be somewhere in Accra. He said, I know where Asofa is. He said, it's in Accra. He said, but it's just like a small little area by Barrier. I said, finally, someone knows where Asofa. You know where Asofa is, for real. He's like, yes. I said, I need you to take me there. He said, well, when are you coming to Accra? I said, I don't know. I don't even know nothing about Accra. I said, I've never been to Accra. I always come to Kumasi. Kumasi. My first trips to Ghana was all about K-Malls. I tell you, K-Town. Kumasi. Big up. So I was like, I have not been to Accra. I just land there and then it's straight to Kumasi. He was like, well, you have to come to Accra. I'll take care of you. So make a long story short, Nana Osebana, about a week later, I caught the VIP bus from Kumasi to Accra, an overnight trip, like from Atlanta to Jacksonville. And got to Accra. He picked me up, put me up in a hotel one of his godson owns, and took care of me for a few days there in Accra. And he took me in his Jeep and he took me to the palace in Asofa. And when I got there, the chief was ill. The chief was ill, and I couldn't meet him. But we were talking about the information about who I was coming to see and what I was there about. And as soon as I said her name, Laura Adoko, they knew who it was. So they went and got her family. And they came and they said, I am Adokeli, I am Adokolo. It depends on the firstborn, secondborn. It's Adoko, Adakeli, Adokali. It's like a bloodline name ceremonial thing. So when you have that name, they know what family you're in, and they know what tribe, they know even what generation you were born in based off that name. So they knew that this Adoko would have been like the first generation. So it would be their great auntie, or their, like that, their grandmother's, great-grandmother's sister or brother. So they gave me the whole bloodline, from her brothers to everyone, to the stories of whites and other missionaries that came to Ghana and met with them previously and promised to come back, promised to bring her body back. We talked about bringing her body back, and I emphatically discouraged it, and for numerous reasons. And so they agreed. And so, but we are putting a statue and doing some things there in her honor in her community in Ghana, where she had her church and where she branched off from there. She started her church there, and then she left from that church and came here as an evangelist. And so, so that's how I found her people.
Wow. Thank you.
If I had never stepped out on faith and said I was getting inside that stadium for that event at all costs, and then the Spirit led where I ended up with the right cloth and everything. I didn't know until I got in that all of the ladies that were the
Well, it seems like Spirit has really kind of directed your, not kind of,
has
directed your path.
100%.
This whole entire
allowed it, yeah.
So where do you see this going today? Like,
well, it's Ma'ata. Currently I've been crowned a double queen mother in Ghana twice. I'm crowned, and I've been blessed with over 1,000 acres of land in Ghana to build a repatriation community. So the mission is still the same, for people of African heritage to reconnect, to have a second home, a vacation home, a retirement home, or just get the hell out of America when you want to home. Is that real? You know, to tap in to our African royal roots and heritage, whether it be financially. Maybe you can't go to Africa, maybe because of felonies. I understand my brother's child support and this and that. You got hemmed up. You can't get a passport. I understand. But you can still invest in Africa and get something out of Africa. Hit me up about businesses that you can invest in that's been vetted. The Chinese and Russians is making all the money, and it's our inheritance, and it's just sitting there, you know. That's what repatriation is about. So the word is R-E, repatriation, and that's to reconnect physically, you know, individually, reconnect physically to the roots of your mother and father. But I cloned a word W-E, repatriation, which not only does it not mean individually, it means collectively, you know, but also does not only mean physically. It also means mentally, spiritually, financially, culturally. How can you reconnect? Learn an African language. Learn how to cook some African food. Take an African dance class. Travel the next time you go on vacation. Don't go to Europe or the Caribbean. Go to Africa. Reconnect. And you will find that it will be one of the best decisions that you have ever made in your life. So Ma'ata, we are building. We've been blessing people with land. Those that are ready to go back home and reconnect, do link up the Chess Foundation at THECHESS Foundation at yahoo.com. That's chess like the game of life, because it truly is about proper positioning yourself for success, and that's what this is all about. When you point one finger at someone, you always have three fingers pointing back at yourself, and you have one finger pointing up at the Most High and the ancestors and the saints and sages. So I always try to teach my people, don't concentrate on this one finger. We can talk about the man and them and that and all that all day long. It's true and it exists and it's relevant, but it's not very relevant.
Okay.
So I think that's good. And with that said, that's exactly what we're doing now. Instead of pointing our finger at, you know,
Hold on one sec.
where's something that's
Hold on one sec. A little bit of reverb. It
my
helps
bad.
if I mute you then bring you back in. No, it's not you. It's like when you stop audio and start audio and stuff.
Yeah.
Restream real bad about that, as we've come to realize.
So for everybody, let's throw up an image of Queen Kofi's mausoleum with our graveyard host, so we can get a sight of that. Yeah,
we going back to old names. Chunk.
Chunk chunk.
Thought something was wrong with my phone. I restarted. It's just the messenger need updating. Hold on. Let me pull it up.
I know how to share the screen from iPad.
Just down at the bottom with the audio and stuff.
Oh yeah. But it ain't gonna share from here. Now, there we go. Here we go. So this is the mausoleum on Jesse Road, I believe. With our graveyard host, the brother that loves to hang out in graveyards. So we can't have a Black History Month without our graveyard host. So we got our graveyard host. He's going to be visiting a lot of sites throughout Black History Month. So the first site is Princess Laura Adakor Kofi's mausoleum. So just a couple of highlights, if you missed it, from Afia Adakor Kofi. The people who were paying to get on these were paying upwards of $800 in the 1920s to get tickets to go back to Africa on ships that Marcus Garvey never owned, that weren't going anywhere because they was old and beat up. And Princess Laura's father.
So hold on. Marcus Garvey went and bought a whole bunch of old decommissioned ships.
Yes, he did.
Back then, most ships was made.
No. He didn't buy them. He
They were
rented
getting,
one.
Lord
He
Jesus,
borrowed another one.
broke shit.
Yeah,
Renting
he
and
did. Yeah,
borrowing broke shit.
right. He Umar'd the whole deal. So everything Umar is doing now, Marcus Garvey did then, and he did it a couple times
basically,
because he did it with a
Umar-
school in Jamaica. But we talk about that another time. We have time. We got a whole month to get into all this stuff, right?
A whole month, brothers and sisters.
But just to say, like, Princess Kofi's father, right, a chief, a king in Ghana, had sent ships to Florida, and when the ships got there, they weren't allowed to dock.
What?
So people had showed up on the beach with their belongings, ready to go back to Africa, right? At a time when it was feasible and it made sense,
Mm-hmm. They
right?
still had family over there potentially.
People could have had family over there. It would have been basically a situation where they could have been doing the exact same that they were doing in America at the time. Like, people were farming and things like that. They could have went back to Africa and done that and created a whatever. Anything could have happened. We don't know. Now remember, at the height of the Pan-African movement, right? Like, only maybe a third, not a third, 3.5% of the Black population was interested in going back.
Mm-hmm.
But for those people, and I'm saying that just so we can, just so, like, as we wonder what could have been, right? The reality would have been like maybe 400, 500,000 people would have went back to Ghana or went back to one of Liberia, one of those places, or some combination of a split of both of those places, maybe even Sierra Leone, right? That's not really a whole lot of people, but it would have been, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened. But that didn't happen. One, because the ships were turned away at the docks in Florida, and two, which is strange, right? If we think about this, right?
If they
Now,
wanted
on one
everybody to
hand,
leave so bad, why wouldn't they let the ship's dock to take folk away?
exactly, it's very strange, right? So we have this two conflicting narratives, right? Where you have all of these white organizations who we believe are running the whole thing, right? Who Marcus Garvey's working with, right? Marcus Garvey's working with the Klan. The Klan runs everything down south, right? So why would, if they want Black people to leave,
why would they stop the ships from docking?
unless someone asked them to?
Garvey.
Possibly. So if that, this is speculation, of course, but stands to reason.
Yeah,
but
because they wouldn't
if that
have
was
no
the case,
incentive.
Yeah, if that was the case, was Garvey really a Pan-African?
Well, no, because if he was, it would have been any means necessary. So if she got the ships, everybody, let's go on down here and get on these ships.
Right. It wouldn't matter if she's more popular than me. Yeah. It wouldn't matter if I was going to a country that I couldn't just take over. So it's very interesting. But we're going to talk about some of the other.
A Florida man is behind bars after allegedly battering a female victim with hot ramen noodles.
Oh Lord. Yeah, like, imagine if they would have took all the Black people from Florida.
This is in Florida.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine, like, if Marcus Garvey didn't kill Princess Laura, that stuff would be happening in Ghana.
It might not even be happening at all.
Possibly. So who knows what?
She didn't want to let the dog on the bed, and he threw the hot pot at her back. No, he hit her with the noodles first.
Hit her with the noodles?
He threw the noodles out. about the dog being on. She didn't want the dog on the bed. So first, he threw the
Oh, my
noodles
head
at her.
hurts.
It says
My head
after
is
he hit
hurting.
her with the noodles, the woman alleged he struck her on the back with the hot pot. So he threw the noodles at her, then threw the damn pot.
But here's the thing that's strange to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like growing up, right? If you were to say a couple was fighting and one of them threw something off the stove on the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would usually think that was the woman, right?
Yeah. And then it says when questioned by the cops, he said that he woke up and began making a pot of ramen. He claims the girl was chasing the dog around when she fell on top of the ramen on top of the stove.
Huh?
He say it was a slip and fall.
Why do people that lie always make you say, huh?
It ain't
Like,
funny.
do the lie, when you lie, right? Do you know that it doesn't even sound believable? Like, I really wonder,
That
like,
was a spur of the moment. Like it had to be. She fell on top of the noodles on top of the stove, officer. But let's keep it pushing because I can't with this shit.
so I got something else, right? So your messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it brought this to mind.
So that was Lord
That
Jesus.
situation with the hot noodles, right? I'm
Uh-huh.
wondering, brothers. I'm wondering something, brothers. I gotta talk to the brothers now, right? Eugene said something a few years ago. Something along the lines of women are God and men are becoming the new women and women are becoming who knows what. Now, I'm sure we've all seen the posts where the brothers will go and they'll put on the little princess costumes with their daughters to be cute, or they'll go get their nails polished with their daughters, or they let their daughters do their hair or put makeup on their face. Now, as a father of an 11-year-old daughter, right? The entire 11 years, she's never asked me to do none of that. So I'm just wondering, man, like, are y'all really like, let's not prove polite right on Black History Month. Like, let's stop throwing hot grits on our women. Let's stop painting our nails with our daughters and let our women do that stuff. If that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my PSA.
Now you had a flashback and not hot grits, hot and ramen. And the pot. Now see, even Al Green wife didn't throw the damn pot at him. She just threw the grits. He was
right,
hurt
like
enough.
that was OD. Throwing the pot right after is OD.
He got mad because she wouldn't let the dog on the bed, or she chased the dog off the bed and he threw the damn noodles at her.
So was he cheating with the dog?
I have no clue, but apparently, well,
It's like a throuple.
he already had a record for cocaine and driving with a suspended license. So
Yo, I
I
thought
don't
you
know.
was gonna say bestiality, yo.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Ain't it though? Rip Rick James.
So does it say what kind of ramen was it?
It
Was
did
it
not
spicy?
list the flavor.
Okay.
It did not list the flavor. I'm thinking
I
either
bet
chicken or beef.
it was beef. I think if you go buy the red pack of ramen, you'll probably throw it at somebody, and you probably the type that'll throw it at your woman. I'm just saying, green or orange, folks. Green or orange. If it's green or orange, don't even mess with it. And if you really want to get
It was oodles
spicy,
of
right,
noodles.
you go to the little Whole Foods, or you go to whatever healthy rest. They get the little extra healthy ramen noodles.
So this is a man, ain't it? On both them pictures.
Look at them hands.
Then look at them feet.
Yo, I don't know. Them feet kind of look. I don't know, man.
But look at them shoes in front of them feet.
Yeah, we know that's dad. Like, dad went to go. Like, the post. There's a post that goes along with this that explains that it's dad. Let me go see if I can screenshot that whole post. Okay.
I saw this today. Actually,
Yeah, I posted it today.
Lord,
I be assaulting people's senses. That's what I do.
You know what? I almost paid you back and put that video up. I found of that dude cooking that pig head. Mm. See, hey, I ain't even know all this until we got started. I was like, wow. Ain't it though? Mm-hmm. What would have happened if they would have let those ships dock? That part. Mm-hmm. If we find out different, we correct ourselves and keep it going. Mm. Do we have anything else to add to this stream? We've been going an hour and 22 minutes. Yeah, but I think we're going to go ahead and close this one out. Let it stand by itself. Okay. Any last words? This is the first day of February 2020, officially Black History Month. UG, you got 2 weeks left. 2 whole weeks. 2 weeks. 14 days in a wake up, bitch. 14 days in a wake up. He can probably wear some big pants and get about 12 under that joint. Mm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jimmy. So until tomorrow, well, every day I'm gonna try for every day, but it might not be possible because I'm like combing the internet for stuff that I can legitly post without getting it blocked or snatched down. The most they're gonna do is put a commercial on it, right? Shadow. So I'm gonna try for 2 premieres every day, and then we got 5 more from Jaded, 6 from Star, and I guess me and Jada will do the ones that Star send us. So until next time, this is TripCTreehouse, where it's always swanging, and we're out.